Hi, I'm Jolie,
And I'm Charlie.
and welcome to Teatime Talks, the Language Addict's weekly podcast to help you learn English.
Okay, so this week we're going to be talking about British TV shows because I was thinking about it and I feel like there are a lot of British TV shows that are very popular here that never quite made it overseas. So, to start off, do you have a favourite British TV show?
I have many. In fact, I would say that pretty much all of my favourite TV shows, bar a couple, are all British. Um, I would say that I am not a fan of American comedy.
Yeah.
It has to really take my what's the word? It has to really grab my attention or really be something special for me to enjoy it. But British comedy, I love.
Hmm.
Lots of my favorite programs are British comedies. Um, Gavin and Stacey is one of the big ones.
I'd say Gavin and Stacey is quite a big one in the sense of kind of like comedy, sort
It's
of.
very, very much a cultural,
Hmm.
not phenomenon, but it's a cultural staple
It's very
in
popular.
Britain.
And yeah, I would say, especially with sort of comedy things, I feel like comedy, obviously, you can translate comedy into other languages, but I feel
Mm,
like the sense of humor of like a group of people is very different depending on where they're from, you know?
mm,
Like, I also agree that I don't really enjoy American comedy just because the way Americans find things funny isn't how I find things funny, and I think a lot of British people feel that way.
yeah,
Whereas, yeah, Gavin and Stacey is very British. It's very like yeah, I don't know, like relatable, I guess, or at least like
it's British comedy at its finest. Really, it's British humour at its finest in terms of it hits all the notes really of what Brits find funny, the dryness. I know that
mm,
there's some British comedy staples that I've never seen that I think a lot of people would be absolutely aghast at that I haven't. The Office being one of them.
yeah, I'm not a fan.
I've never actually seen The Office, but that sort of dry humour, self-deprecating a lot of the time, is the epitome of British humour. I would say,
Yeah, definitely. I would say sometimes American humor can lean a bit slapstick
very
almost.
slapstick, very in my opinion, cringe a lot
Yeah.
of the time. It's very I watched a video once or I listened to a podcast explaining kind of the difference, and it's that with with American comedy, a lot of the time it's dozens of writers in a room and they're just doing joke after joke after joke. And if you watch American comedy, you will kind of see that it is just like that. It's just like one after another
Scripted.
after another after another.
Yeah.
It's joke after joke after joke because they're kind of just like small jokes,
Mm,
and it's like haha funny, okay, haha funny, like the next one, next one, next one.
yeah.
Whereas with British comedy, a lot of the time they're written by one person, two people, and it's it's not really hinging on how many jokes can we get in there, how many punchlines can we get in there. It's the humor in the situation itself a lot of the
Mm,
time, and the humor in people's responses. Um, and Gavin and Stacey is that it's written by an amazing writer called Ruth Jones, who plays Nessa, one of the main characters, and also James Corden, who plays Smithy, one of the main characters. Now he's a bit more internationally known because he kind of made it big in America. I'm not a fan of James Corden outside of Gavin and Stacey, but that's another topic. Um, yeah, it is a cultural phenomenon here.
mm.
Everyone knows Gavin and Stacey. It is a huge, huge thing. And also another thing with British comedies, very, very small series.
Yeah, that's
They're
true.
normally one, two, sometimes at a push three. Like Gavin and Stacey has three series, and each series has about like max 6 episodes.
Yeah, and I don't know how to put this, but I'd also say in general the like scale of British comedies tends to be fairly realistic in the sense that I feel like sometimes I've watched American comedies where the characters are just put in these outrageous, like outlandish situations of
Situations,
like
yeah.
they're at like the White House or they just go to these random locations. It's like, okay, well, why are we here? Whereas I feel like a lot of the time in British comedies, they tend to be in the house, at their neighbour's house, on holiday, somewhere localish. You know, they're kind of grounded.
There is some British comedies that do lean into the zanier kind of unrealistic situations, like um The Mighty Boosh is one which was from the early 2000s. Um Peep Show is another one which is very, very popular.
Yeah.
I've never watched it just
No,
because I
neither.
don't really enjoy the two main comedians in it. Um there's a lot of underrated comedies, I think. That I now can't remember the names of.
I mean, I don't really like go out of my way to watch comedies. I feel like the only ones I can think of are sort of older ones, like Only Fools and Horses kind of thing.
Only Fools and Horses is a huge one. We all grew up. Most British people have grown up watching Only Fools and Horses. It is, especially with like our parents' generation and our grandparents' generation, it's huge. It came out in the very early 80s. And it's quoted everywhere, really. Like, it is ingrained almost in British culture. That is very popular. Only Fools and Horses is, I would say, probably one of the biggest
Yeah.
British comedies ever. Um,
There's
Also, along with like Forty Towers,
Yeah, Fawlty Towers is a big one
which
as
I've
well.
never watched. Forty Towers. I know that's
I
probably
think maybe I watched like
sacrilege for a lot of
one
people.
episode that was like a special one
I
time.
know. See, the main big jokes in it that are kind of famous, I know of,
Yeah.
but I've never actually seen it. Again with Monty Python, I've never seen Monty Python either.
Yeah.
Blackadder
Blackadder, my
is
mom
also
likes
a
that.
huge one.
What's the space one as well? What's it called?
Red Dwarf.
Red Dwarf, yeah, my mom loves Red Dwarf as well.
I've never watched Red Dwarf. I
I
know of it,
yeah.
but I've never watched it.
I haven't like sat down to watch it, but I've had it on the background.
That one again is one that leans more towards the zanier things.
Yeah.
You will find that a lot of British comedies are either really out there situations in terms of like Red Dwarf, or like they're in space and they're aliens, or they will be really down to earth, like Only Fools and Horses, where it's just two brothers trying to get by. And yes, they find themselves in really stupid situations, but that's the whole point of a comedy show most of the time,
exactly.
isn't it? So, but yeah, there's a lot of British comedies I would highly recommend. I feel like a lot of people do. I feel like a lot of people do know British comedies. Maybe British comedians more so.
Yeah, even if it's not the TV shows, like sometimes I get these videos on my YouTube recommended of like Americans reacting to British things like football. But I've also seen Americans react to like Russell Howard.
Yeah.
Which I feel like, I don't know what he's up to these days, but like 10 years ago, 15
that
years
is
ago.
one thing with the British TV is we have a lot of comedy panel shows.
Yeah.
Would I Lie to You, Mock the Week, I don't know if that's still on. Have I Got News for You? Russell Howard's Big Show. That's not what it's called. Russell Howard's Good News.
Yeah.
There you go. Russell Howard's Good News, which isn't really a panel show. It's mainly just him, but
Yeah.
he sometimes has guests on. 8 out of 10 Cats.
Yeah.
8 out of 10 Cats does Countdown.
Yeah.
We have a lot of comedy panel shows. That is a very big and very popular kind of format here. Which I think they're really good though. I mean, the only one I find Mock the Week a bit boring, but I don't think it's on anymore actually. Like, I feel like it stopped being on. And I also don't like Would I Lie to You just because I really don't enjoy Rob Brydon.
Fair enough.
Or Lee Mack.
I don't really like watch them nowadays. I did a bit when I was younger. I watched a lot of Russell Howard's Good News when I was like 10. And I don't mind Have I Got News for You. I think that can be quite funny sometimes. I do think, I'm not sure if it's a popular format in other countries or not, but it definitely is here.
I don't know, I genuinely can't think, like, even in America, I can't really think of any.
Yeah.
See, like, in America, the big ones are like the late night talk shows.
Yeah.
We only really have the Graham Norton show here.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean,
the Jonathan Ross show, but I don't know if that's still on.
Yeah, they're not massively popular compared to other formats, I would say, either. Whereas in America, I know they're very big, but I did see a tweet about this like yesterday or last night, and I was like, yeah, I think a lot of British people are on the same wavelength with like SNL. I just don't think it's funny.
It's not.
And I just
Sorry, it's not.
I don't think that type of humour just translates very well to us in the slightest.
Again, it's just gags and punchlines one after another, and it's what hits, what sticks. One of these has got to work. Okay, next one.
Yeah,
you know,
it's not very funny to us. I'd say A lot of it is just kind of like, yeah, like you say, a lot's happening, very quick,
Mhm.
very just like, and they tend to just kind of make fun of anything that's popular at the minute as well, which,
It's very glitzy in
yeah.
terms of it's so high budget, and it's like again with the talk shows as well. Like it's so high budget.
Mm.
It's kind of to Brits is a bit. Oh, it's a bit too much. It's
Yeah,
kind of like
it feels a bit overproduced and a bit
overproduced. Yeah,
inauthentic.
that's the exact.
Where
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think what in general, obviously this is a generalization, but I'd say in general, I feel like British people, the type of comedy we like is where it's just kind of like normal people in normal situations and they just have interesting reactions or like it's a
Mhm.
slightly weird situation.
Mhm.
It's not generally like forced jokes, I guess.
I guess we find maybe find humor in the dark.
Yeah.
The kind of negatives of life. We find a lot of humor in that. Um, yeah, I just SNL. I don't.
No.
I love how this is a underrated British TV shows, and we're just slagging off American TV shows.
I think it's an interesting
Don't get me wrong,
distinction,
there's a
though.
lot of American TV shows that I think are really good.
Oh
But
yeah,
just comedy wise, I don't think.
I agree. The only like I guess comedy one that I used to watch was Fresh Prince of Bel Air, which I did enjoy back in the
Yeah,
day. But
actually, no. The only I will say one of my favorite shows is an American comedy, and it's one of the only ones, and it's Modern Family.
mm,
I, on paper, should hate it,
fair.
but I really, really just, I really do like it. But I think it's because, again, it kind of has the format of a British comedy in the fact that it's like everyday situations, and
Yeah.
you're watching like the characters' reactions,
Mm.
if that makes sense. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely more to do with like the style and genre, less to do with like the nationality of the people, like that kind of thing. It's just more so the kind of vibe of like, okay, they're in a sort of normal situation kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um
I know that a lot of English speakers use friends
mm,
to learn English or practice English.
that is true.
If I was to give you a British equivalent of that, I would say it is a. Actually, no, this is my complete opinion because it is not a popular show, it is not a well known show, but there is a comedy called Stella, which is by Ruth Jones, who did Gavin and Stacey, and it's set in the Welsh Valleys, and I love it. I love it so much. It's one of my favourite shows ever, and there's like 6 seasons. There's like 12, 10 episodes each season, and I just love it. And I think if you want to watch actual British accents and just also a fun show,
Mm.
I would recommend that. Do you have a recommendation?
Well, I can't say I've ever watched that one. And I also
Not
can't
many people have.
Fair. I also can't really say I watch comedies that often. So I can't really think of any, to be honest with you. Well, I guess to be fair, we should probably mention this one because it's completely slipped my mind, but it's just everywhere. The In-Betweeners.
Oh my god, yeah. The In-Betweeners.
Which is just
yeah.
so just like everywhere in British humour and just British culture in general.
A lot of the jokes have not aged well,
They
but I
have
guess
not.
that is kind of the appeal of it, maybe?
Yeah.
Like, it's very of the time.
Mm.
Oh, I just remembered Friday Night Dinner.
Yeah.
I love Friday Night Dinner. That also leans into the more zanier things. I just really like it.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
It is kind of another one of those where it's like, okay, normal situation, what's happening?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of British comedies. Now, I'm saying this, there might be a lot of American comedies. In fact, there is a lot of American comedies with the same format. It's like they all take place in the same place. Friday Night Dinner always takes place in their house.
Yeah.
99.9% of the time. Friday Night Dinner is about a family, a Jewish family, and every episode is their Friday night when they have their Friday night dinner. And they have a very strange neighbour called Jim and his dog, Wilson. And yeah, Friday Night Dinner is really funny. I would also recommend Friday Night Dinner. But going back to what you said about In-Betweeners, yes, that is huge. Everyone knows the In-Betweeners. Everyone knows the main quotes from the In-Betweeners.
I would say, even if you don't watch the whole thing, because, like, again, I do find it hard to enjoy comedy in other languages sometimes. But I would say, even if you don't watch the entire thing, just look up, like, a compilation of, like, the most famous scenes from it. Because there are so many just, like, commonly quoted things from that show that I just think it's quite good to know them.
If you actually want to know these kind of like commonly quoted things that have kind of become ingrained in British culture and British references. Over on our TikTok, we actually do a series called Context Please where we talk about these things. If you head on over to there, you will be able to find out more about that. Because we can't really speak about. There's so many. We
Mm.
can't speak about them all in this
There
one
are a lot.
episode. There are so many. Um, Even if you don't understand the comedy of In-Betweeners as well, it's so scarily accurate to like British high school,
It
like
is.
and British teenage boys.
Yeah, especially like during the time that it was made as well.
Yeah, it was like 2008, I think.
Yeah, around then. And as well, I don't know if you know this, but they made an American version of The Inbetweeners and it was
Yeah,
not good.
I saw someone react to it and it was
Yeah, me too.
terrible.
I will say, I think The Inbetweeners is so specifically like British in the situation of like just the school, the culture of it all, that I don't
Yeah.
think it can be kind of translated very well
No.
into other countries and other languages.
Mhm.
But it is very well known and very entertaining nevertheless.
Mhm. I will say, moving on, kind of from comedies, is we there's a very big thing in Britain about like crime comedies
Oh.
or like mystery comedies. There's a lot of TV shows that will have comedy elements, but like will be joined with another genre. One that I can think of is a relatively recent one, but I absolutely loved it, and it's called Death Valley,
Oh yeah, I've heard
and
of it.
it's about like a small town that has like, well, crimes happen and they have to solve it, but it's like really funny. Like it's
Mm.
comedy. It's a comedy mystery. Um, there's also like um also Greg Davis, who was in Inbetweeners, has one called The Cleaner, who's like he's like a crime scene cleaner, and that's also a comedy. There's a lot of we find a lot of comedy in the macabre, I would say.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I mean, these aren't TV shows, but they are British and they are that kind of thing.
Mm.
Shaun of the Dead,
Shaun the Dead, Hot
Hot
Fuzz.
Fuzz, which are incredible. You need to watch them
Yeah,
if you haven't. But yeah, it is true. They're kind of like they're comedies, but they're also like creepy. There's like something going
yeah,
on,
it's like crime or it's
crime
like
or yeah.
mystery or like there's an amazing TV series called No Offense, which is like a crime mystery, but it also has got so much comedic elements in it that it's almost rivaling the crime aspect of it, you
Yeah.
know? So I would highly recommend this. As always, we will do a blog alongside this podcast, which includes key vocabulary used in this episode, but we will also write down all of the TV shows that we're recommending here. And also, if we can, we'll try and put where you might be able to find them. But yeah, I would highly recommend any of the ones I've just recommended. No Offense, Death Valley. What was the other one? I can't
I can't
remember.
remember.
But yeah,
There's a
we,
lot.
we we enjoy a lot of macabre,
We
one
do.
may say.
We do.
Um, I feel like we've spoken very much about comedies, but
Yeah,
it's a big part of British TV
it
shows.
is, and it's a very specific. Again, the comedy shows we have are quite specific. Maybe with other genres, they have more similarity with like other countries, but
Mm.
I feel like comedy is a very specific cultural
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
Speaking of sort of a cultural thing, um, a TV show that's very popular right now is The Traitors.
Yeah.
And I watched a video about this on YouTube yesterday, which I found interesting, which talked about, The Traitors isn't only a British show. It started in like
It was
Denmark,
Sweden or
Sweden.
Denmark.
It
Yeah.
started in sort of one of those countries, made its way over. There's like a New Zealand version, Australia,
American
America,
version. There's
Ireland. I
everywhere.
think
There's Ireland.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of versions of it, but the video I watched basically was talking about how they're not really as popular as the British version is in the UK, like in their own countries. They're
Oh
not quite.
really?
Yeah, like certain. I think the Australian one, the first season of it just flopped completely.
The Australian one, the second season of it was the players were so bad, and the second season was so bad, it got the TV show cancelled.
Yeah,
The
it's
I have
crazy.
watched the Australian one, I've watched the New Zealand one, I've watched the American one, and I've watched all of the English one, or the UK one. Sorry. The Irish one is coming on to BBC iPlayer very soon. The Australian one is not great. The New Zealand one is very low budget compared to the one in the UK and the US. The US one is very high budget. And the first series of the US one did something I did not like, where it's a mixture of normal people and celebrities.
Yeah.
And they still won the money at the end, and I don't think that's fair, because it's like, there's a bunch of normal, everyday people that need this money going against not very high profile, but like celebrities.
Yeah.
And they're fighting for money. Like, it just doesn't feel right. But the
Yeah.
second season, they did just do all celebrities. And do you know what? I did enjoy the American version. There's a few American reality oh, there is a few American reality TV shows that me and my family watched that we recognise some of the people from it, so it was kind of enjoyable. But again, that one is so overproduced.
Yeah, I do think, yeah, that is the one part, is that it's just very overproduced. And they're releasing another season of the American one right now with just celebrities, I think. So I saw that, I
Yeah,
think Eric Nam is in it.
yeah, it's literally just started.
Yeah.
I will say though, like the America is. I will say the American one is very popular.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
literally won like Golden. It's literally won like Golden Globes and
The
stuff.
American one is definitely doing better now. But it was interesting that the Australian one didn't do very well for me. And I didn't watch the first season of The Traitors, but by the time season 2 came out, it was so kind of popular that I watched it then. And it was just interesting, and I've sort of thought about this as I've watched it like over the seasons as well. But like, I feel like a lot of the situations that the players end up in is sort of somewhat related to like just kind of British culture. Like, I don't know how to put it, but like like for example, the Celebrity Traitors, I think, is the best example of this. The British Celebrity Traitors.
Yeah, so we've currently are on the third
Fourth.
series. Fourth?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we are. So right now the fourth series of Traitors UK is airing, and the Traitors UK is all average normal people, no
Yeah.
celebrities. However, it was just before Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So the end of last year they did a celebrity Traitors, which has some pretty big names.
Oh, definitely.
In
Like,
it.
I think one of the things that the person said in the video is that like, compared to like the American version, where I don't know because I haven't watched it, but supposedly the people in it are sort of like reality TV
Yeah,
people.
there are a lot of like D-list,
Yeah.
C-list, reality. A lot of reality TV show people, which who in America might be are normally quite famous because reality TV is huge
Yeah,
in America.
definitely.
Which don't get me wrong, it's also huge here. We'll talk about Love Island in a minute.
God, yeah.
But yeah, they are a lot more kind of not big names. Whereas
I'd just say like well respected, I guess, to some extent.
yes, exactly. The Celebrity Traitors UK were very well respected names. Stephen Fry,
Yeah,
Celia Imrie, Alan Carr, very respected people. As well as just very loved and famous people like Joe Marler and Nick Mohammed, who he was in Ted Lasso, which is amazing. There was even Nico,
yeah, he's a YouTuber, yeah.
So, yeah, but what were you going to say about that?
I think the way the Traitors plays out is very dependent on which country it is, because I feel like from what I've seen of each season, which I haven't watched the foreign ones as much as the English one, but I do feel like culture plays a part in it, because when I'm thinking of the celebrity one especially, sorry for the spoilers if you haven't watched it, I think you should because it is quite entertaining and you get to know some British celebrities. The fact that Alan Cole won is baffling on so many levels.
He was so bad.
He was so bad that everyone just thought it was a joke. But I think part of the reason why he managed to get so far, and I feel like the Celebrity Traitors was a bit different as well because they're celebrities, they have a reputation to uphold.
Yeah.
But I feel like British politeness was a part of it in the sense that they were like, oh, well, we're not going to accuse him, you know? And I feel like sometimes that is a part of the regular seasons as well.
I recognise that in very recently in the last couple episodes there was I'm not going to spoil it, but there was a huge thing, and the person that said what they said was 100% right in what they were saying. They were bang on the money, but because they said it in a rather brash and abrupt way, everyone was like, why were you being like that?
Yeah, I think
why were you not being polite? Why were you raising your voice? And so they then got voted out even though they were on the right track.
Yeah.
All because they kind of came at it with a not very polite angle in terms of they came in, they said, I'm doing this is how I feel. They didn't let some people tried to jump in and be like, oh, you know, and they were, no, I'm speaking. Like, they were a bit less, a bit more blunt with it. And literally simply because of that, even though what they were saying was pretty much right on the money, they got voted out.
Yeah, from the clips I've seen from the American one, I don't think it's quite the same in the sense
It's a
that,
lot more
like,
brutal in the
it
American one.
is, and I feel like that's okay, that's sort of normal. Whereas in the UK one, if you show any sort of like rudeness or like, I
Yeah.
don't know, just even if it's not on purpose, like I remember the last season or the season before, someone was talking. Basically, it's like how do I even explain the show? It's basically like a murder mystery game, basically.
Yeah.
And at the round table afterwards, where they're discussing who they think
Yeah.
did it.
So quickly, there's a group of people. There's normally about like 20 people at
Yeah,
the start. They go to a castle in Scotland, and 3 people, 4 people, it depends, get picked to be traitors, who are aiming to win the money at the end. Everyone else is a faithful, and they have to guess who the traitors are and vote them out, because if there's a traitor at the end of the game, the faithfuls do not win. They do not win the money. Um, so yeah, and at the end, so every night the traitors murder someone, and every night there is a round table where the faithfuls banish someone that they think is a traitor.
yeah, and it's at the end of the day, which I think is interesting because it kind of gives them time to like spread their theories throughout the day. But it's
Yeah,
very interesting that a lot of the time, if someone's suspicious of someone, they'll tell other people, but they will not tell that person, or they are very secretive about their
yeah,
suspicions. But yeah, one, I think it was the last season or the season before that, there was a, I don't know if I can call it an incident because it really wasn't that, you know. But one woman was talking at the table, and then I think previously someone had interrupted her, and it was kind of like a thing. And so once she like finished speaking, another guy asked, "Are you finished?" And she was like, "Excuse me." And you know,
yeah. Oh my
I
god,
feel
I
like
forgot about that.
I feel like
Yeah,
maybe in another culture that won't come across rude or anything like that, but "Are you finished?" just feels like a very loaded phrase.
yeah,
And I feel like, yeah, in the British traitors, even if you are 100% right, or even if you are going about things in a way that, you know, seems fine, I think the way you say things and the way you accuse people is very important because it is sort of at the end of the day of a bit of a popularity game as well.
yeah.
It shouldn't
100%.
be, but it
It
is.
is.
And I think the way you come across and the way you speak to people is so important in the game and also just a bit in British culture in general, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, in terms of reality shows, The Traitors is the biggest in the country at the moment, and is very, 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 very popular.
Yeah.
So I would very highly recommend watching it if you are not from the UK. Just because even if you are from the UK and you've not heard of it, then please watch it. It's really good.
Yeah.
If you're not from the UK and you're learning English, it's actually a very good opportunity to learn different accents.
Yeah, you get a good variety of people, I'd
Good
say.
variety of people from all over the country, from every walk of life. It's very easy to kind of experience all these different accents and all these different kind of people, and hear the different variations of English will probably be very um useful.
Hmm.
Moving on to kind of another reality TV show which is huge in the UK. I feel like it's going downhill.
Yeah.
I felt like when like 2016 to 2019 was when it was biggest, and this is another one where it has, I think we originated it, but it's now big in other countries. Like there's an Australian version, there's an
Oh.
American version, and it's Love Island,
Yeah.
which is basically um a dating reality show where um single men and single women get put into a villa, and literally their only purpose or
Cool.
goal is to find love, and love is very
That's a word.
love is a strong word. um I don't watch this. I watched it when like in 2016, which was 10 years ago, which is mental. um but yeah, it used to be huge. I feel like it is still kind of big, but not as big as it was.
It was like massive at one point. I
Yeah,
don't think it's quite as big anymore, but it is still big.
yeah.
I can't say I've ever watched it, to be honest. It doesn't really interest me, but it is very popular.
And again, there's not really anything else I can say about the show other than that it's a dating reality TV show.
Yeah.
Um, but similar to The Traitors, you will get to be able to experience a lot of different accents,
Mm.
a lot of slang,
A lot of slang.
a lot of slang. If you want to learn conversational English, that is probably a good one because a lot of slang has come from the show
Yeah.
specifically. So, I would definitely recommend it, even though it's not my sort of thing. I think from a learning English standpoint, probably be quite a good show to watch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's underrated though. I feel like that's a pretty big show,
Yeah.
especially in the English speaking world. Can you really think of any other reality shows
Reality shows
that are kind of British specific?
Not really. I mean, I'm sure there are some, but like, I mean, not British specific ones. I think there's a lot that have sort of spread now and they're from other countries and stuff.
Yeah.
But in terms of just the British ones, I think that's the main ones.
Yeah, they're definitely the most kind of well known and biggest ones.
Yeah.
We're already pretty much hit time for this episode. However, I think we're going to do a part 2 to this because we've only spoken about comedy and reality shows so
Yeah.
far. We have many other TV shows. Crime. We have a very, very vast and very popular variety of crime dramas in the UK. So we're going to bid you goodbye for this half of the podcast, but we'll see you in part 2.
Yes. Bye bye.
Bye.